Now I'm going to read there are only embodiments and authorizations. For Alain Badiou, there are two basic orientations in thought. The dominant capitalist orientation is called democratic materialism, whose axiom is there are only bodies and languages. The subversive orientation that Badiou adopts is called materialist dialectics, whose axiom is there are only bodies and languages, except that there are truths. But this articulation leaves out a question. How do the exceptional truths relate to the bodies, languages of the dominant order? In Badiou's book title, Being and Event, being refers to the aforementioned bodies, languages, and event refers to the exceptional place of truths. So the crucial question is about the missing link between being and event. In Less Than Nothing, Zizek points out, quote, the open question of Badiou's being and event, which is that of the link or intersection between being and event. How do we avoid the reproach that an event is a proto-religious miracle which intervenes from some transcendent beyond into the order of being? Unquote. Due to the transcendent status given to the truths, Badiou's axiom is more appropriate for an idealist dialectics. To uphold a materialist dialectics, we need to assert and demonstrate the immanence of the truths to the bodies and languages of the dominant order. Let me approach this problem with my toolbox of signifiers. First of all, we must acknowledge that the main function of a language is to authorize an addressee. In symbolic authorization, language authorizes a supposed subject of knowing. In real authorization, a subject authorizes himself, herself via the language. So we can modify the axiom by replacing languages with authorities. The new democratic materialist axiom is there are only bodies and authorities. What should be the new axiom of materialist dialectics? If we would insert truths as an additional clause, this would make them transcendent, not immanent. To assert the immanence of truths, we should recognize the processual generation of the bodies and authorities. Thus, the new axiom of materialist dialectics should be there are only embodiments and authorizations. The next step is to focus on the respective grounds of these two processes. In the pre-modern conception, the ground of an embodiment is nature or destiny as the big other. The modern subversion of this assumption acknowledges that there is no big other, which means that there are only particular ecosystems, which do not make up a natural whole. So the modern materialist ground of embodiment is a system. In the pre-modern conception, the ground of an authorization is God as the other of the other. The modern subversion of this assumption acknowledges that there is no other of the other, which means that there are only particular wills, which do not come from a transcendent God. So the modern materialist ground of authorization is a will. Thus, we reach the ground of authorization embodiment, which is will system. But this just gives the context of the processes. It's not yet the locus of truth. To reach the truth dimension of a symptom, we must consider the disruption of will system, which gives us desire malfunction. What disrupts a conscious will is an unconscious desire, and what disrupts a system is a malfunction. These two aspects are related through the Freudian notion of parapraxis. This is the immanent dimension of truths. This is the dimension that authorizes Lacan to say, I, the truth, am speaking, or I always speak the truth. Truth does not have an exceptional masculine status as in Badiou, and on the other hand, everything is truthful is false. Instead, there is nothing which is not truthful, which makes truth not all, feminine. In other words, truth can only be half said. Quote, I always speak the truth, not the whole truth, because there is no way to say it all. Saying it all is literally impossible. Words fail. Yet it's through this very impossibility that the truth holds on to the real. Unquote. Lacan in Television.